Hello everyone, welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick on the side of the comms, of course, Justin, and this week Genshin. Yay, I have an excuse to talk about waifus again.
Yay.
Justin is palpitating with excitement. but yeah, Genshin basically had a 5.0 update. We finally got Natlan, which is something. I heard there was a whole bunch of backlash about skin color and all that stuff, and I won't put my say on it. I basically have really no horse in that
That's
race.
that's a whole slew of topics that we don't need to bother with.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic involving racial ethnicity and depictions and
We
stuff like
we
that.
don't care about that here. We really don't.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
not sound
I
too
at least don't.
insensitive.
Hey, I don't really
And there goes another
particularly care about like what the skin looks like. All I care about is the character pretty cool? Yeah. I
well, in fairness, you play Halo, where there's
hey
somehow
hey it
colored
don't
people on Mars,
hey it don't well
white guys on
fair
Mars.
fair. Some
Yeah, it's like
random
colored people I can buy, but
purple
why are there white people on Mars?
some random purple alien. I look pretty cool, don't I?
I look
Fair, fair.
fair, fair, fair. But how the heck are you purple? Weird melanin.
Yes. Besides that,
Besides that, so yeah, uh, Genshin finally had Natlan come out, and honestly, it's hard to believe we're already at the, what is it, 4 or 5 year mark at this point. This is the last nation we have before Snezhnaya, and that'll be interesting. It'll be breaking into the nation of the Spez or something. Considering it's based off the frickin' Russians, and the Fatui are like the secrets, the extremely corrupt version of the Russian. Oh, the spot. What was it? The Russian Secret Service, or not the Russian? Back in the Cold War, what were they called again? I can't remember.
oh, yeah, no, I know what you're referring to though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
those
can't
guys.
remember though. I can't.
Honest to God, it'll be like trying to break into Russia during the height of the Cold War. That'll be fun. But until then, let's focus on the fun Hawaiian and South American based stuff. And to kick it all off, we have the music they released for Natlan in their review, and man, they go hard. I'm not gonna lie, they go hard. They're like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have an entire 2 songs for this thing. Okay, that's fine. We're gonna have this sung by an entire orchestra. Okay, and it's all gonna be in Swahili. Wait, what? Which, in fairness, it's actually a really good song.
Hmm.
Reminds me eerily of Baba Yatu, which, if you don't know, that's a Civilization song that they did for, what was it, Civ 3 or 4, something like that. I might be misremembering.
If it was a Civ song, I would have to say three.
I'll have to show you after. It's actually kind of fun. Anyways, back on topic. So this nation comes with a bunch of stuff, including dragons, but yes, no, not really. Kind of dinosaur dragon hybrids. I mean, we're calling we're calling dragons things that look like brontosauruses had a affair with a dragon supposedly. All I just see is a brontosaurus with funny colors.
Yes.
Whole neck thing with funny colors, which, yeah, that's fine. Honest to God, I swear if this nation literally just ends with, and a meteor strike killed all of them, I would be absolutely.
Some
We're,
unforeseen terrible event occurred, and they are all mysteriously gone.
what
Damn
killed the
you!
Surians?
Damn
What?
you!
What killed all the cute Surians? Meteor. What killed... Yeah, no, that's how
Some
we're gonna go into
unexplained event here.
Yeah, that's the moment the Heavenly Principles wake up and like, oh no, back this, it just like hurls a meteor directly at Alan. all of the Surians gone. I mean, we are like right next to a volcano supposedly in Natlan, which is supposedly referred to as hell on Tivat, supposedly. So, are we looking at a Pompeii situation?
Yes.
I mean, like I said, it's interesting. Every nation, as we who've been playing Genshin know, kind of has a draw from a certain or culture is drawn from, right? So in Mondstadt, we had, I believe, German is what it's drawn from, medieval Germany and stuff like that. In Fontaine, it's from the French, and I swore it was the English to some degree in terms of technology, but I might be wrong. More French, if anything. In Sumeru, we had, Middle Eastern Indian culture. People said African, I remember hearing, but I didn't really see it. Definitely see much more African here in Natlan. Which makes more sense because they're drawing from supposedly South America,
Yeah.
which is not Africa, I confess. But they're drawing from, like, some people are even saying possibly the Ring of Fire zone, which technically that's actually a geological area around the world, which kind of circles an entire swath of the globe, which I think includes like Hawaii and a bunch of other places. So why we have a girl that looks like she belongs in a Hawaiian tribe doing surfing stuff there's why, I guess. And so yeah, that's the thing. Honestly, though, it looks pretty interesting. They didn't even have a solid civil, like they're not even having a main capital city for stuff like that. So instead of like, okay, instead of one reputation system, you're gonna have technically seven. Seven? How seven? One main one, which is apparently at the arena, because I guess when the developers from MiHoYo were like, okay, we have no capital city, where are we gonna put the guild and stuff? Good point. Put it in the arena. And so we have like the main one, and then we have like the 6 smaller ones. So you've got like 6 mini reputation trees and stuff like that. That's like, oh boy.
Huh.
That'll be interesting to grind out. I barely grind out any of the basic ones in the other nations. God knows I probably won't grind out those. But then again, apparently they're like tied to the story quests for the characters as well this time, so we'll see. All is interesting though. The Surians, apparently we get our own Surian companion, which I swear to bloody heck looks like a mini rhino, which is why I named him Rhino.
Bruh.
Dude, I gotta say this photo. This looks like a rhino, like a mini rhino. And of course, the most interesting of the concepts being pulled off here is the fact that for the first time in all of Genshin Impact, the statues of the 7 just don't immediately cough up our respective element. They're like, no, you don't get an element. And it's played off as like this great mystery, but by the looks of things, it's kind of looking like it's just a result of elemental deficiency, so to speak, in the land. So we can't just draw from the excess land surplus and be like, give me power. There's nothing to give.
I have
So, and here I
nothing
was
to
hoping
give you.
I have nothing to give you. Well, it is the Archon was like, yeah, our nation might be dead within a year. So, there's that. Kind of concerning. So that's interesting. I'm tempted to not spoil as much. I don't want to spoil as much of this thing as possible. I myself actually played till pretty much I think the end of the like final mission of the current stuff we have for the main campaign. And that will be kind of interesting. Well, it has been kind of interesting. Like I said, I won't spoil too much of what happens for those who still want to play it because it literally came out this Tuesday. So I'll keep my trap shut for the most part.
Yep.
I will say it's interesting though because unlike in previous nations, MiHoYo has said that they're going to actually break this one up in terms of mainline releases. Because for those who don't know or haven't been keeping track, generally what happens is we'll get a new nation, right? And every big update will expand on that nation's storyline until the very end, and then the expansion in the end is going to be like some filler, maybe having to do with the overall grand storyline of the siblings and Celestia and Loom of Fate and a bunch of stuff. So apparently, however, they're going to be doing the mainline stuff from 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, and I think they're skipping over 5.3 and continuing the mainline storyline in 5.4. So that means we have an entire expansion where nothing in the main story happens, which will be interesting because this will be the first time we actually have a break from the story in terms of expansions. Which, like I said, is funny because this is the nation that, I repeat, apparently supposedly has a year left to live, so we can apparently flip off for like several months and be like, he'll be fine. But
we don't need to help you right now.
hopefully things will get better by then, so it's not like, hey, we're gonna go off now and go back to Mondstadt, because I'll get back to possibly what that thing is possibly going to include, if not the nation stuff. We're gonna go all the way to the other end of the globe. Hope you guys are cool. Has only a year left to live. I'll see you next month.
See you then. Bye.
In like a month or two. Hope your nation's still around by then.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, what is likely possibly going to happen is in the summertime event we had a hint to Durin's resurrection, which that's interesting considering Durin is one of the big ancient dragons that apparently died. Well, it did die. He did die prior to the game's release, so to speak. So we kind of see lore and we see his bones scattered out all throughout Dragonspine, but we don't actually see him, kind of like the other Abyssal Dragon Elenes in Fontaine. both kind of died before we got there. And apparently Durin will come back, which will be interesting because, like I said, his bones are literally scattered all throughout the mountain. So, are we just gonna like lose half the mountain? Plus, there's the whole fact that like the dragon spine spear literally requires you to go up to his still beating heart and revitalize tooth and stuff. So, are we just gonna lose the ability to craft that once he comes back? Or are we just gonna have to like go up to him and be like, "Hey, can I borrow some of your heart juice?"
No.
No. I mean, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how they play that one out because it wouldn't be like. Here's the thing: MiHoYo, I think, is really interesting when it comes to developers, and Genshin and Star Rail and stuff are interesting games because when stuff happens in the world, it genuinely reflects in the world. Like entire spots of the map change depending on where you're at in the story or stuff like that. And even world quests will literally like have ramifications. Like for those who haven't played Sumeru yet, I'm sorry, but it's been 2-3 years at this point. So I think it's 2 years actually at this point, maybe. But when the former Archon of Sumeru Rukkhadevata dies, her whole plot line is literally she deletes herself from Irminsul altogether. So spoiler for the Sumeru story. Sorry if you haven't played it, like I said. But here's a funny part: when she deletes herself from Irminsul due to lore reasons, all references to her throughout the entire world are removed. So any artifacts, any books that you can collect, even literal game dialogue from characters will change if you play them or read them before or after this mission. So when she literally deletes herself from existence, all references to her throughout the entire game are yanked out of existence and retroactively changed. And that literally, like I said, includes some quest dialogue, which will actually differ depending on whether you play them before or after that event. So, like I said, it's not like MiHoYo hasn't changed the world dramatically before, but bringing back an entire dragon whose bones litter an entire mountainside, that'll be interesting. I mean, technically we have Dvalin, but we don't really see him. I think the last time we saw him was like one of the old Windbloom events, and then he just kind of like flew off somewhere. Maybe he's in the north of Mondstadt where we can't get to. I don't know. Taking a long vacation, but like I said, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I really, like I said, can't spoil too much of the Natlan story because it literally only just came out. But we will apparently go to said Hell Mountain, Hell Volcano, Hell Thing at some point. I think I just got ourselves unsubscribed just by saying the H word 3 times. But then again, we're not monetized anyway, so what's the matter? We're not monetized anyway, what's the matter?
You can't stop me. You have no power on me.
You cannot take our money because I am broke!
You can't take money that doesn't exist.
But yeah, so that'll be interesting. I can say though the Capitano does, like I said, come in, and we do get a hell of a boss fight between the Power Archon and El Capitan, who is currently the first of the Fatui Harbingers, which in lore, for those who aren't keeping track, basically means he's as strong as a god. Which, I mean, it shows. In fairness, well, actually, no, I can't say the second part because that would spoil storyline, so I won't say anything. But we do see what, like I said, a pretty intense boss fight there, so that's a fun cinematic. And I'm debating how much of this I should say and how much I should not say. Like I said, it only just came out Tuesday. Oh, I know what I'll say. I'm debating about pulling for Mulani. Should I pull for Mulani? I mean, I went into Natlan looking and being like, okay, I'm trying to build my Archon collection. And I have the Inazuma Archon. I have Raiden. I have Venti. I got him. I think he was the first Archon I got, actually. And then Raiden was the second. I have Farina, though technically, if you want to be lore accurate. Again, spoilers for Fontaine. 3, 2, 1. She's not actually the Archon anymore, and technically never really was. But I have her anyway. So I have technically her. So I have 3 of the 5 we have out right now. I do not have Kusanali. I keep wanting to grind for Kusanali, but every time the banner rolls around, I just don't ever have enough Primogems. There's always something else. Don't have Morax, which is unfortunate because Zhongli is a pretty powerful character. Don't know if he's still powerful today. Tell me, Genshin players in the comments, is he still broken today? I remember when he first came out, everyone was like, "Oh my lord, Zhongli is so powerful." I don't know. Is Morax still powerful? I don't know. Anyway, so I don't have Kusanali and I don't have Morax, but now we've got Maraka? Malaka? I'm sorry, I'm still working on how to pronounce her name. But yeah, so I definitely came in hoping, being like, I'll grind for you. And then they reveal Lola Mulani's kit, and it's like, I have heard that her surfing really doesn't really work outside of Natlan because the certain local resource is kind of what allows her to go a longer distance versus outside where it's only like a 5-star or 6-star or 5 second or 6 second boost, which
Hmm.
I mean, we have Farina who can literally walk on water, so
Hard to
I
tell.
wasn't really buying her for that part anyway. I mean, I played her, messed around with her in the story missions because you do get a chance where you get to play as her character, and she's pretty powerful. Not gonna lie. So, I don't know. She has a fun theming. So we will see. Maybe I'll hold out until Molaka. Molaka. I'm sorry, I'm still getting the name down, like I said. Or I might get Mulani. We will have to see. Definitely not gonna go for the other two characters they revealed. What's his name? The guy with the little digital Surian who. I'm sorry. Can I have a tangent here for a second? Despite the fact this has just been one giant tangent.
Yes. Yes.
What exactly is this thing? I can't remember its name, but like this little digital Surian. It's like, okay, so let me get this straight. So the Surians, who look like dinosaurs and dragons crossed together, mostly dinosaurs, are technically the evolved versions of dragons, who are kind of semi-extinct depending on how you look at it. So okay, and that's all. That's fine and all. That's fine. Biology to biology. They just some of them lost their wings, and they do still have some draconic traits to them. And then we get this digital little pixel art Surian thing as a companion, and I'm sitting here going, wait. How do we go from biological to digital? Someone please explain.
Don't worry about it.
It's
Don't
like
worry
this
about it.
sentient little pixel art that constantly yells at you. Well, not us, but the character it's associated with, and I won't. I will probably skip his banner because, like I said, I'm saving up for the Archon. But I genuinely want to know. Tell me, what is the lore between getting this? I mean, he's a Dendro themed, and Dendro is kind of nature, but because Genshin has to do Genshin stuff, nature manifests more as like advanced digital technology and light. So you go in expecting plant power, and you come out wielding light and internet powers, which sure, why not? Maybe that explains the talking digital sprite, but again, I repeat, how? I don't know. I'm just hoping that it gets explained at some point. Otherwise, the lore master is going to be me. It's like, I do not see it. I do not see it. How is the biology turned into
Where
digital? Please
is it
explain.
coming from?
Where are you coming from? Who made you? But that'll be interesting. Still no word about the Dragon Pyro Sovereign. I mean, we've heard the name drop, and the whole quest involving the mini Surian companion we get. I don't consider that a spoiler because you literally get him right out of the gate when you get to the nation, technically, and you can name him, which is interesting because I do hope we actually get to do something with the Surian because the only other character we've actually been able to rename is Wanderer, who we can rename to a bunch of stuff. I referenced Maxor video for the list of long, nonsensical names you can do with him. Well, we can name the little Surian companion. Plus, it opens up the whole possibility of Chosen of Dragons. So I'm wondering, throughout that whole quest, are we eventually going to meet the Pyro Sovereign? And that might involve some trip to the volcano a la Mount Doom style. Honestly, now that I really say that, the whole story, like, I won't spoil the story, but like I said, the more the first section of 5.0 unfolded, the more I sat there going, I feel like I'm watching the Lord of the Rings movie again. Like, I feel like the Death Mountain is going to come in here at some point. We're going to have to make a pilgrimage to Mount Doom. I swear, if they play the Dragon Sovereign off as frickin' Sauron, I swear to God, Emilio.
I am not going to play nice anymore.
That'll be freaking interesting. You just walk into the mountain. Who did into my chamber?
Which one of you dare enter?
Well, then I guess since Alaron doesn't speak, it'll probably just be like two eyes looking at you menacingly.
Disappointment immeasurable.
uh, but yeah, that'll be interesting, like I said. So we will see how that plays out. But yeah, that's 5.0 so far. All in all, region's pretty good. Haven't really touched the world quest outside of the first little bit involving the Surians. I'll probably wait until the next half of the story gets released before I start diving into the world quest, because I don't want to rob myself of too much stuff to do beforehand. That's the funny thing when Genshin releases new nations, right? At first, especially, with... I think the best way to reference this is like Fontaine and Sumeru were like this, where they start off like... Well, no, Sumeru was pretty big from the start, but like you see Fontaine and you see Natlan, and they're very small nations at first. But then come like the end of their story arc when everything gets unveiled and everything, the nation becomes absolutely gigantic.
Yep.
And we still have an entire 3 clans we haven't met yet, so that'll be interesting. More chances to waste all my hard-earned Prima gems before I get to the banner with the Archon. But like I said, I'm interested to see how this nation looks in terms of size-wise once it's finally all revealed. Uh, like I said, when Sumeru was officially finished, it was like bigger than the entire screen area. You literally had to zoom out and scroll around just to see the whole thing. Fontaine, the Land of Water, is understandably 90% water, which, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can breathe underwater in that nation, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But... And plus, we finally got our Atlantis! Kind of.
Kind
I
of.
mean, everyone says in Economy it was Atlantis, but I mean, there's the whole Fortuna area, and if Enconomia was Greek, then Fortuna is definitely Roman inspired. Which I think I'll end off by saying that's a funny thing. Natlan draws its ancients, or not Natlan. Genshin draws its ancient civilizations from like ancient civilizations of days past as well. So if they're drawing their current nations from like the older versions of current existing civilizations, then they're definitely drawing their ancient, forgotten civilizations from like the old civilizations of yore. Like I said, Enconomia was basically Greek Atlantis. Fortuna was basically a musical-themed Rome, sunk again under the water. Definitely go play that quest if you haven't yet. That is some... I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Genshin, MiHoYo is a music company in disguise.
They all
And
tricked you.
dude, I gotta send you the harp thing afterwards. You'll believe me. You'll believe me. Maybe I'll send you the Natlan Symphony as well. You have to experience it. But anyway, that's post-show talk. And then we have what we're getting in Natlan, which is, interestingly enough, I will spoil this bit, because it's kind of semi-story related, 3, 2, 1. We go through the ruins of, like, the Dragon Sovereign Civilization. So, brief little bit of lore. I know I keep saying I'll finish, but then I pause it. Sorry. But, like, brief bit of lore, right? So we know that there was the nation of men, or the time of men, so to speak. And that was kind of started with the primordial one and that whole nonsense. But before the primordial one, there were the dragons and the dragon sovereigns and all that stuff. So basically a race of dragons. And they all died out after they got beaten by the primordial one and forced underground. Again, very unethically, but that's whole big story plot reasons. So in Natlan, we actually get to go through effectively what is the bones of their ancient civilization. Apparently, these dragons weren't just intelligent beasts that just flew around and stuff. They actually had civilizations and cities and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. So you go through the bones of one of their civilizations in Natlan, and if Enconomia was Greece, Fortuna was Rome, apparently the dragons had their civilization based off of the Aztecs, which raises a bunch of concerning questions. If you know the Aztecs, you know. But like I said, it's interesting to see that there was apparently a dragon sovereign or dragon civilization at some point, apparently based in Natlan, which, when you really stop to think about it, Natlan is a nation of dragons, and unlike any of the other nations, Natlan is the nation where all these supposedly evolved version of the dragons wound up. Like, we meet the dragon sovereigns in, like, the far corners of the land, but we actually see official heirs, or descendants, I suppose you could say, of their civilization in Natlan. And only Natlan, and like I said, we've only seen their bones of their civilization in Natlan, so maybe that's where they were based. And considering there's like the 6 sovereigns, 6 elements, and Natlan has a play on each of the elements to some degree, including for the first time I think actually being able to find resources from different nations a great deal inside Natlan. Like I'll find hydro crystals from like Cutler's Juice and Fontaine, or not hydro crystals. I can't remember what they're called. The blue crystals from Fontaine in there. You see a bunch of stuff. And again, maybe this is an area thing, but like I said, there's a play on each of the 6 elements there to some degree. And we know the 6 sovereigns each played off a different element, so maybe that's why. Mm-hmm.
Don't know.
But like I said, I just find it funny that the ancient dragons had a civilization, which means these titanic beings supposedly had cities. Must be like a land of giants. And that they were supposedly based off of Aztec design, which is, like I said, that raises a whole interesting questions. bunch of implications there. But yeah, that's I think where I will officially cap it. I will let you all go. I just decided to take this time to ramble on about Natlan and Genshin, because if I can ramble about waifus, dang it, I will. So
it will be done.
So there we are. Like I said, it came out on Tuesday, so it's pretty new. Go play it if you want to. I would say so. The story is actually shaping up to be pretty interesting. Some pretty interesting ramifications involving the Archon and the nation's fate, which I've kind of hinted to, and possibly more lore about the Dragon Sovereigns, for once in an official story quest, because up until this point, we've only ever dealt with the Sovereigns and their stuff in, like, character story stuff, which is technically not main plot stuff, main plot stuff, so nice to actually see we're dealing with them officially for a change. And possibly meet the Pyro Sovereign in the course of this main quest line. We will see.
Yes.
So, let's just cub 2024-25, the Year of the Dragon. I christen it now. Not the Chinese year. The Genshin year. Though there is a year called the Year of the Dragon.
Don't worry about it. It's not the Chinese one.
Not the Chinese one, despite the fact it's made by a Chinese company, but I digress. Don't think of that too much. So, that's this week's video. Hope you all enjoy. We'll see you next week for Warframe stuff, because that's another thing I want to talk about, and I got the chance to finally. Though, sadly, this one will possibly not be that great. But we'll get to it. That's next week's problem. Bye-bye!